This is Celeste of Astrology by Celeste. I'm broadcasting from the Luminary Lounge. I just named my office the Luminary Lounge on the day of Venus square Uranus. And I wanted to talk about the astrology. I said in the podcast that big stuff was going to be happening this week. And it is one of the biggest stories of this last quarter moon coupled with Venus square Uranus is the Hawaii fire. So I'll talk about that a bit, as well as some other stories in the news. But first, I want to let you know on Sunday, August 13th, 2023, at noon Pacific time, I'm having a new moon and Leo workshop. This is going to be a really incredible new moon in order to make big changes to Leo rules the heart center desires. The sun rules the sign of Leo. So we have one time every year typically for setting intentions to how we want to shine our light, really live more authentically and with optimism and joy. So you can join at astrologybyceleste.com and register and buy your ticket. You get a discount if you get 4 workshops. So I hope to see you there. But yeah, let's talk about let me present. I figured out what I did wrong last time. I got this new screen. I got this new camera that sits on top of my screen. And last time I forgot with this StreamYard, you need to use 2 screens. So I've got my stuff together today. I see someone's joined. You can put any questions or comments in the chat. And after I finish presenting, I will take a look at them periodically. But yeah, so what we're going to talk about first is, I got to use the over here. Is this, can you see my screen? Right. See, this is the thing with this setup. Anyway, here we go. So yesterday we had a last quarter moon at 15 degrees of Taurus. So the sun was in Leo at 15 degrees. Leo is a fire sign, moon in Taurus, and earth sign. And they were both at 15 degrees of Taurus. And the reason we knew that there was going to be big events is because 15 degrees of the fixed signs is a world point. So when world points are activated by transits or lunations, or even it's when a planet is sitting on a world point, when it gets hit even just by the moon, by especially hard aspect, there will be events that get a lot of attention that occur. So just to review, the world points are 0 and 22.5 degrees of the cardinal signs. Cardinal signs are Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. The pandemic was related to Saturn and Venus meeting, not Saturn and Venus, Saturn and Pluto meeting at 22.5 Capricorn on a world point back in 2020, in January of 2020. So that symbolized the big change between governments and countries, the traditional structures of authority. Saturn collapsing, being burnt down, needing to be rebuilt through catastrophe, Pluto. But okay, so those are the cardinal world points, 15 degrees of fixed signs, Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, and Scorpio, and 7.5 degrees of the mutable signs. So that is, the mutable signs are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. So when world points are activated, the point is there'll be events that get a lot of attention. And another reason we knew that yesterday was going to be a big day for news is because the moon and Jupiter were conjunct in Taurus. Jupiter makes everything bigger. We think of it as a cosmic Santa Claus, but it also is it just magnifies things. So sometimes too much of a good thing can be a problem. Like a lot of people with Venus square Jupiter in their chart, what can be is that they are overindulging in something related to the signs and the houses related, that they, don't put limits on themselves, just like whether it's food or money or spending or like drugs or whatever it is. It does that there is something that's part of their life lesson to learn how to have some discipline. Saturn about giving yourself pleasure, Venus to excess Jupiter. So that's just an example of how that can show up. Yeah. So anyway, where was I? Jeez, I go on my tangents and then forget where I was. Yeah, so we knew that this told us something big was going to happen. The other thing that told us something big was going to happen is that Venus is retrograde and in Leo, and when a planet goes retrograde, the topics it rules can get a little wonky. There can be delays, there can be restrictions, there can be the collapse of anything contemplated. And Venus rules things like relationships, beauty, pleasure, recreation, jewelry, money, these sorts of things are Venus topics. The kidneys, yeah, and sugar, yeah. And Venus is yesterday was applying to a square. This is a third quarter moon chart, applying to a square with Uranus, and that happened today. It's exact at when was it exact? At 4:08 a.m. this morning. But it's been coming in hot for a couple of days. Within 2 degrees, you can see events related to the transit. Yeah, and I said in the podcast, I just got a zap, like look at Paris. I was thinking maybe there'd be news in Paris. There still could be. But unfortunately for Hawaii, there are these horrific wildfires burning that are spurred on by winds. There's also and it's on the island of Maui in Lahaina, or Lahanu, I think is how you say the city's name. This beautiful, beautiful destination for vacations. Yeah, I was thinking Paris because Paris, is a very Venusian place, but Hawaii, like one of the top vacation destinations in the world as well, that we would have news from one of them. Yeah. Okay. So Venus and Uranus are mutually applying to each other. Uranus rules sudden breaks, sudden shocks, where like chaotic events can feel like they come out of nowhere and then, just go off. And so what we've had is these wildfires. And this is the chart for the third quarter moon that happened yesterday, cast for Hawaii. And the first thing that jumps out at me when I look at this chart is that 26 Taurus is on the ascendant. That is the degree of the fixed star Algol, which is a noted, it's piles of corpses is associated with it. When events happen around Algol, it's a signifier of catastrophe. It's related to the Medusa myth, like Medusa, who was beheaded and her head was used as a weapon. But she's got a whole long history, but I don't want to get into it right now. Also related to Lilith, Adam's first wife. So there's essence of women who are punished for not conforming or or like Lilith would not be subservient. Yeah, like Medusa was punished for being attacked sexually. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff about women and the things men fear about them, but also just about catastrophes in mundane charts. So the astrology of world events. So boom, like if our government used astrology, they could like be seeing things like using computer data from years and years and hundreds of years, and like load it into a computer and be able to probably pinpoint where things are happening. I just gave away a movie script to someone, but I know I'll never write it probably, but you never know. Anyway, they could really foresee things that were going to be happening and where they were going to be happening with various techniques. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The other thing that jumps out at me is that Uranus is on the ascendant. So you have this double signal of unexpected events, catastrophe with Uranus. We use the 5-degree rule. So if a planet is within 5 degrees of a cusp, it is in the house that it's putting its energy on this house. So the first house of Hawaii, meaning of the state, and Venus in Leo, all this Leo energy, the sun in Leo being here right at all this Leo energy in the 4th house of literally the 4th house is like the land, the resources in a fire sign, square Uranus, like it just literally, this chart says burning land. And we've got Mars here as well in Virgo, quincunx Chiron in Aries. This is another signifier of Virgo is an earth sign, Chiron in Aries, fire, and a fire sign. Mars rules fire, is associated with fire. And Mercury strong in Virgo. Mercury rules like wind. Mercury, the winged messenger, is I associate it with wind. Yeah. So I think that's because winds are what's really fueling this wildfire. And yeah, it's just an absolute catastrophe. So yeah, so you can see that in the chart. And then if you bring up the chart of Hawaii, you can see the thing that jumps out at me when looking at this chart of Hawaii is that the sun of Hawaii is at 28 degrees of Leo. Venus stationed to go retrograde at 28 degrees of Leo and is moving back to 12 degrees of Leo. Yeah. And so if we put this together with the 3rd quarter moon. Oh, I will. You see that, yeah, you see that they're about to have a Mars return. Hawaii has Venus retrograde in its natal chart. Natally, Sun is approaching a conjunction with Uranus. I'm really concerned that this is just going to get even worse. Hopefully not. I know, so like over 15,000 people have power out. At last count, like 6 people have died. Dozens of people are injured. People are like jumping into the water trying to get away from places. It's just an absolute catastrophe. And Hawaii had the eclipses are bouncing back between the 7th and 1st house. Hawaii's going to have an eclipse in October 14th to its ascendant. So Hawaii is in for probably a bit going on for a while. Yeah, you can see Uranus here falling on the 8th house of death, and very public problems. Yeah, death, loss, all of these kind of things. It's gonna be very expensive to rebuild and everything. But think you get the picture. Pluto is here. Yeah, Pluto in the 4th house, like transforming the land. Yeah, very sad. Yeah, and Hawaii natally has. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, so this is very sad for the people of Hawaii. So let me see. Are there any questions? And then I'll talk about Prince Harry for a minute. See if I can see. Oh, hi, Rev Kai. Hello. Yeah, Hawaii is, yes, always have strength and joy. Yes, Hawaii's in our prayers. Terrifying, terrifying. And so Venus rules places like destinations. So this is an example of why going on a vacation during Venus retrograde can turn into like an unpleasant situation, because there can be delays or unexpected things happening, reversals of things. I've heard so many vacations. I mean, there's always something, going on, but this was not the time to have a vacation of the lifetime. And I saw there was some tweets or things by people on their honeymoon in Hawaii at this time. And then this whole event thing is going on. Yeah, or people probably had weddings planned and all kinds of things that are all going to have to be put off because of this. And there's also power outages on Oahu. So I'm really worried about Hawaii, because the sun is coming to Uranus. It's 2 degrees out. So you can start see events happening 2 degrees out, but things could potentially get even worse. Let's hope not. Okay, let me talk a little bit about Prince Harry. Yeah. Hi, Rev Kai. Yeah. Let me see. Let me talk about Prince Harry. Let me make my screen bigger again. Okay. So it's so funny. So in my podcast for next, let me share my screen. So, see, I must have done that wrong. Stop sharing. Okay, share my screen. Don't start this with me. Entire screen. Oh, screen 2. It must be screen 2. That's right. Okay. So Prince Harry, it's so funny. In my podcast for next week, I talked about Prince Harry, saying, I think we're going to be seeing things coming up about him, not knowing. Because what happens is I prepared my podcast on Sunday this week, for next Sunday. And it was a day the sun squared Jupiter. So sun in Leo squared Jupiter in Taurus. Jupiter rules royalty. Leo is associated with royalty. So maybe that's why he popped into my mind. But then I pulled up his chart and saw that he's really being activated, because Mars is coming to his sun, and Mercury's going to station on his sun and go backwards, and Uranus is on his moon. Well, news on Friday, the last Friday, the royal website, whatever that is, took away his HRH, his Royal Highness, or whatever HRH means about Royal Highness or whatever, and took it off his title and moved him and Meghan down the page. So it was essentially like a demotion of his visibility. And Harry and Meghan are having this Venus retrograde. We knew it would be hitting people who are royal. Oh, catnip. Yeah, I'll answer your question in a moment. Yeah. Okay. They are they're they're really being impacted by Venus retrograde, like Megan losing money. Megan lost her Spotify deal. There's been all kinds of stories in the news about how they are not valuable, in terms of they don't give the value for the money that people are paying them to, smile and say, I like this company or that company or do whatever. And then there was today, like I woke up today and opened the Daily Mail because I like it because it gives like real news, but also like other news that really shows up with the astrology. So the headline is: the royal family is distancing itself from Harry and Meghan after Harry's HRH title was stripped from the websites. Experts warn the substances are seen as unpredictable and unreliable, but they need royal links for their brand. Unpredictable and unreliable. Uranus, Venus, like a married couple, square Uranus, being called unpredictable, unreliable on the day that Venus squared Uranus. And Venus also rules like your image, the face, and like this HRH helps their brand. So let me show. Oh, oh no, I didn't mean to hit that. No. Okay. Let me do this. So let's show Harry with the full moon from last week. Because when an event happens, like you can look at the transits on the day, but you can also look at the transits on the lunation preceding. And I don't just do the new and full moon like some astrologers. I do the new, first quarter, full, last quarter moon. You can see the nature of the event through that. And so at the full moon last week, this Mercury was in Harry's 8th house, conjunct his natal Mercury and opposite Saturn. Mercury, the title, like what he called himself, being able to communicate HRH, was Saturn separated from him, as well as at this full moon, Mars was in the sky, was in a trine with Jupiter in the sky. See, Mars at 13 degrees, Jupiter at 13 degrees in his 8th house. The 8th house is like around inheritances, also around loss. So Mars severs and separates, trine Jupiter. Jupiter rules accolades like a title. So he was separated from his title. And the new moon, the full moon was in his 1st house of identity. So, yeah. So part of when the moon, you let go of things with the full moon. So he's released part of his identity, and it was involuntary, obviously. And what else did I want to say about that? Uranus on his moon. So Uranus breaks things. Moon rules family. It's in his 4th house. He lost his inherited title from his family. So that explains the timing of this. And it happened 2 days before the sun squared Jupiter. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like Prince Harry. Yeah, it's really interesting. I talk about him in the podcast that he's had. I mean, how devastating to lose your mother at such a young age, and how he lost her. And he's clearly got, a lot of a heartache around that. Yeah, and it's yeah, his he's got a lot of heartache around that. Yeah, and he's got Saturn now in his 2nd house. So the 2nd house, Saturn constricts and limits the 2nd house finances. Like he's probably going to be less able. They're probably going to have to lower their prices because of the negative press and stuff like that. Other things that happened this week related to the, let me see, related to the, I just wanted to give a couple other highlights related to the, that's Hawaii. Let me do the US. Okay. Related to like other Venus square Uranus things we've heard about is Sandra Bullock's longtime partner passed away from a long battle with ALS, that horrible disease that like degenerates your muscles, most causes muscle atrophy. And yeah, the timing of this, it's not surprising with the sun in Leo on a world point squaring the moon, that, we're hearing about the celebrity loss, and the moon conjunct Jupiter, people around the world are wishing her. She's a celebrity, and people around the world are sending condolences and wishing her healing with a loss of her partner. Yeah, really, really, really sad. Really sad. She has been through it. She's in her second Saturn return. Yeah. Let me see if there was anything else. I think that's good enough. You get the picture. Yeah, here's from paradise to the apocalypse. Horrified tourists post devastating pictures before the wildfires. Oh, here's a new story. I'm telling you, all day, Venus square Uranus stories have been popping up in the news that are getting a lot of attention because of the last quarter moon having such, let me stop sharing my screen. Yeah, having, that on the world point. Celebrity trainer Tracy Anderson's exclusive Hampton studio erupts into chaos as wealthy clients rail against overpriced $5,500 mat fees. Who is paying $5,000 for a mat? $6,000 a week detox week and status obsessed queen bees. This woman is something. This Tracy Anderson, I should look up her chart because she has been accused of yeah, she's had run into troubles before. I'll look up her chart for another time. I don't want to say too much, but anyway, she's had plenty of scandals before about like taking money and whatnot. So yeah, so that's another scandal. That's Venus, a money square Uranus, chaos. People are furious and starting to talk about it. Oh, the Biden administration limited the ability to do certain amount of business with China. That's another story. And let me see if there's anything else I wanted to say, and then I'll get to the questions. There was some other story I wanted to say. Yeah, Biden restricts investment in China. Venus square Uranus, like this is kind of sudden news. Okay, let's see. Weird time. So Catnip wants to know, do I see anything related to the new COVID Eris and the UFOs that's been a case in Peru as well? I don't know. Thank you for the compliment, Katniss. I'm glad you like my work. Yeah, I don't know what COVID Eris is. I don't know. Are you talking about the asteroid Eris, or the dwarf planet Eris? And UFOs with Pluto and Aquarius. I mean, there's been, I think UFOs are a Pluto and Aquarius story. Pluto went into Aquarius in March. It's back in Capricorn. But there's a new movie coming out called Jules that's about an alien that comes to Earth. So I think we're going to be hearing more and more about aliens. I know there's been testimony in front of Congress about aliens. I need to educate myself about all this. Oh, they named the new COVID variant Eris? Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, how interesting. That is really interesting because let's look at now in Washington, D.C. I will have to look this up. How interesting. I wonder if they named it that since Venus went retrograde, because Eris was a goddess who caused chaos and threw the apple into the wedding for the fairest of them all that started the Trojan War. COVID variant Eris. Eris. Ah, a new COVID variant Eris. Oh, I had no idea. When was this? August 7th. I bet. Eris was first identified in May, but now it's getting. Let's see. Let me look at this. And let me add the asteroid Eris. Oh, shoot. Let me edit this and add Eris. Yeah. I think that's a Venus retrograde story, them calling it Eris, even though it started in May, it says. Okay, so let's look it up. Let's look this. It started in May. So let's look at, here I go again. Let's see, Eris. Where's Eris here? Here's Eris. It's at 25 degrees of Aries right now. And if we animate this and go back to, so April 20th, that was the solar eclipse. Oh. April 20th was the solar eclipse. Okay. Let's just put, the solar eclipse was at 29. Oh, it would have been April 19th. Sorry. The solar eclipse at 29 degrees of Aries, and the moon was there too. But where's Eris back then? Eris has still been, this solar eclipse hit Eris, so that makes sense. And then the lunar eclipse was on May 5th, I think. Let's see, was anything around Eris on the lunar eclipse? Oh, you know what? Jupiter was on Eris at the eclipse. So yeah, the eclipse symbolizing some new variant. Yeah, that causes fevers and whatnot. Yeah, that makes total sense. I think it's related to intuitively to the timing of it, that we may see it becoming even more of a problem with Venus retrograde. I know several people have COVID right now, and I live in the Bay Area, which has been in California, which is we've done very well with COVID. We haven't had a lot of problems. But I wonder, on Sunday is Venus Cazimi, where Venus goes in the heart of the sun to be reborn and come out on the other side. And then we're going to have Mercury retrograde in the sign of Virgo, a health sign. And, Mars is going to trine Pluto soon. Mars is in Virgo. If there will be a big uptick in COVID. I hope not. We've had enough. We have had enough. Yeah. 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 Marketing 101. Yeah. There it is. Yeah, hopefully. Oh, they're having hospitalizations in the UK. Yeah. Let's hope there's no lockdowns. You know what? I think we're climate change. Hopefully, I'm wrong, but it feels like it's escalating. Like this Venus retrograde, where when Venus went into Leo, 0 degrees Leo, it was opposite Pluto. Venus rules at 0 degrees of Aquarius. That's when Venus went into Leo at this transit. Venus rules comfort and your just ability to enjoy life. Opposite Pluto, like the destruction of it, because like there's these massive heat waves that are causing tremendous problems for people. Yeah, and I don't think we've seen the last of it. There's going to be a new moon in Leo on Sunday that could signify even more problems with heat. Let's hope not. But it's going to square Uranus and Taurus. Exactly. It's 23 Leo, square Uranus and Taurus at 23 Taurus. Yeah, and Venus ruling Taurus is retrograde. And Venus went retrograde, King comes Pluto, and King comes Neptune at the top of a yod. Yeah, so yeah, and there are all these, we have Saturn and Pisces. Storms are a big problem. We also have like crime is getting out of control in places. Pluto and Aquarius, masses of people are banding together to like shoplift and do all this kind of stuff. In Oakland, where I live, carjackings and it's just horrible. And women are being targeted. So we're seeing like this breakdown in society. We're seeing with Uranus and Taurus, like the earth getting hotter and hotter. Like Alaska had these floods and stuff. Hopefully it's temporary. As Tommy Tuberville, the senator from Tennessee, says, it's summer. That's what explains these massive heat. He just blows it off as summer. Yeah, we'll see. Let's hope when Venus moves on when Venus gets back into Libra, that we see some relief from these like big massive storms and stuff. I hope this is not the new normal for us. Like those hailstones we saw in places like Italy, and it's really unnerving what's going on weather-wise and what it could mean about us as humanity being close to a tipping point. I hope not. Yeah, but those are my thoughts. Okay, I hope you found this helpful and insightful. And yeah, come to my workshop on Sunday if you like. You can go to astrologybyceleste.com, or the link in YouTube will take you to all of my links and you can sign up. You can always come for a reading. I do personal readings, chart rectifications. I should have said that in the beginning. And I'm in sales and marketing, but I just get excited about the astrology and start talking. That was my big career. I was in sales and marketing. I should say, yeah, I get personal readings and I do events for people and all sorts of stuff. So take good care of yourself. Make sure you stay hydrated. Pray for the people of Hawaii. It's so devastating. Let's hope it doesn't get worse, but with the sun going to their Uranus, they could be in for a ride. Okay, take care.